Okay, hello everyone. Hi, Trailblazing families and Trailblazing families to be. I'm super happy today to have the amazing Rekha Magon. I think I messed up your last name again. From Boundless Life. She's a co-founder here. And I know we have several people who have wanted to watch this talk. So I'll just give you guys a few minutes to join us. And please ask questions. I've got loads of questions for Rekha, and I hope the rest of you can ask us questions as well. So Rekha, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Liz. Thank you for having me.
And where are you right now?
I'm currently in Tuscany at our third Boundless location. Yeah, and I'm at the hub right now where all our families can work remotely.
Awesome. And I don't know if you knew in my email, we are heading to Tuscany. We'll be there in April. So
oh yes,
hoping Maro said he would give me a tour. So I hope I can meet you in real life if you're still there.
I'll actually be in Sintra for our next cohort. So my family will be heading to Sintra, but Maro will be here. So he'll definitely give you a tour.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, we were, my family and I, we were in Sintra, not at the hub. We haven't seen the Boundless in Sintra, but we were just in the town, I guess a year and a half ago. And it's such a beautiful city.
So, it's a really magical little town, Sintra. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And we have a few people that they're saying hi so far. Hello, Kara, Priyanka from India, and Jeff from Washington State, and Elaine. Elaine, where are you? The Dabrowskis, I have met them in 4 different countries over the last, I don't know how many years. They started Worldschooling 8 years ago. Okay, so Rekha, ready for the questions because I'm really excited. A lot of people wanted to check in on this live. And I wanted to first learn a little bit about you and your family because you're a digital nomad family, you're a Worldschooling family. So tell me how many kids you have, and you're from Canada, correct?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we're from Montreal, Canada. My husband and I were born and raised there, so that's where we consider home. We have 2 kids. I have a son who just turned 11 last month and a daughter who's 8. So they've been doing Boundless since we launched. They've been part of every cohort. Yeah, a little background on myself. I mean, myself growing up, I lived a very, I guess, boundless life. You know, my parents really made it a point to immerse my brother and myself in a lot of travel, community service, and mindfulness from a very young age. And for me, like I just growing up, I felt like that gave me such an upper edge, you know, whether it was like being class valedictorian or student class president. I always felt like I had this different flow to myself. And so, you know, when we got pregnant with our first child, I knew that I wanted to give the same kind of upbringing to my own kids. And that's when I was kind of like, well, that's not fair, right? If I know that these tools and this type of lifestyle is so beneficial, was so beneficial to me, it shouldn't just be access to my children. It should be access to as many around the world as possible. So that's my background. Yeah, I started off in the corporate world. I was an auditor, a CA and an auditor at KPMG, and then left that world and went into education entrepreneur. So first I started a company that brought, my apologies, I'm in a booth and the lights just went out.
Okay.
Yeah, my first passion was mindfulness, like I mentioned. So my first company was bringing mindfulness into the public school system. And then I pulled my own kids out of school and started homeschooling them myself. And then started developing homeschool curriculums. I helped launch a learning center in Montreal, and now we're doing Boundless.
That's amazing. I love your background. We have a few things in common with the education, alternative education, and homeschooling. Okay, so I mean, you mentioned you were motivated by your childhood traveling around to start traveling with your family. When did you start traveling with your kids? Was it just like off and on throughout their lives?
I think no, right away. Like even when my son was born, I think he was like 7 weeks when we first took him to like India. You know, we just like packed him up and took him to his first trip was at seven weeks. And throughout that, I mean, we always had a home base, but we would, you know, travel around. If my husband was traveling for work, we would tag along and stay, you know, an extra week or two, or we were going to like a meditation retreat, we would stay an extra week after and explore the land. So we've been really traveling with them since they were small. And I think the more you travel with your kids, I'm sure you know from experience, you see how much they they grow just as like individuals, and from the youngest age, from like, I remember we went to, I think we were in Chiang Mai for like a month and a half when they were 2 and 4. And just coming back home, like I saw it myself, how much they had just expanded as human beings at such a young age. That I just, it didn't make sense to me to live any other kind of lifestyle. Like I knew I had to keep feeding them this,
Yeah,
I couldn't pull them back from this growth that they were having. So
exactly.
yeah, ever since they were both born, really, we've had a home base, but traveled as much as possible throughout the year.
Yeah, well-traveled kids are so different than traditional and like sticks and bricks kind of kids, stationary kids. So how did you connect with Mauro and the other co-founders? How many co-founders are there, and how did you guys come up with this idea?
Yeah, so we're four co-founders. I So as I mentioned, I was running a company before this, and I'd done an accelerator program with Founder Institute, and I'd done really well then. Like the demo day and all the pitch. I used to win the pitch competitions, and Mauro was actually one of the advisors for this accelerator program. So I guess he'd remembered me from these pitches and from that program. And so when he came up with this idea, and he reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, I already know you're living this lifestyle. Why don't you come on board with me and lead education, and we'll build this together." So that's how I came on board, and the other two were also friends or acquaintances of Mauro, who had seen before, worked with before, and we're all four of us were based out of Montreal. So we started working together on the concept, and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, so let's talk about the concept, because it's fairly full service. I mean, I've been kind of DIYing it for a while and, booking my own accommodation. I've put my kids in various schools. We've done online school. We've done so many different things. And we've been to a few different World School hubs. We're at one now. And I talk to a lot of people who dream about launching some hubs in certain places. And some of them say, I don't want to handle the accommodation because that seems to be kind of a headache. But you're pretty full service. So let's describe what you have. You have accommodations, you have a school, which we'll get into, you have a co-working space, and you have community activities. Am I missing anything?
No, you nailed it. We're basically a turnkey solution with everything you just described, from fully furnished apartments that are kid friendly to a functioning co-working space, that's really reserved for our members, with everything you need, 24-hour access, the education system where the kids can learn, throughout the cohort, and then the community experiences, that we organize for the parents and for the children alike.
Okay, wonderful. So let's get into the education part. How did you figure out which education system to use? Because I know you're using the Finnish model. Why the Finnish model? Let's talk about that.
Sure. I mean, it goes back to, I guess, my own experience with my kids. Like when I kind of research something, I go deep in. So when I decided that I wanted to pull them out of kindergarten and start homeschooling them, I went down this like rabbit hole of, all these different alternative curriculums out there in the world. And my own kids kind of became my petri dish, where I, purchased every curriculum there and tested them like week after week to see what, aligned most with my educational beliefs and our family's beliefs. And I would say, from there, the Finnish system had always kind of stuck out to me. Not only have they already been implementing for years a lot of the alternative education concepts that we read about now. They've been implementing them and seen the results of them as well, for decades now. So that's definitely something that stuck out to me when it came to, partnering with an organization that already has like a tried and tested alternative and forward-thinking education system. So when we started, brainstorming about Boundless and Boundless education specifically, I knew very quickly that I wanted to partner with a Finnish curriculum or Finnish organization. And then I did a deep dive basically into all the different organizations that exist there to understand the Finnish curriculum, and moved forward with that way.
And you're partnering, there's somebody on your website that I remember seeing, and she's bringing the Finnish system to Boundless. Yes, I forgot her name.
So we actually partnered with like a Finnish school development company. And so one of the founders of that company, her name is Suzanne Perkowski. So we convinced her to join our team and be our head of academics because she has so many years experience in the Finnish curriculum. She was one of the few I think only non-Finnish to be like eligible to be like a full principal in Finland. She developed the curriculum, so we knew that we wanted someone on board who understood the system intimately so that we could really bring it to life properly. So she's now head of academics at Boundless Life.
Okay, good. All right. So the school is for kids 1 to 12. So I'm guessing the 1, 2, 3-year-olds, that's kind of a nursery school. Yes?
Yeah, one to 3. We have 4 different classrooms. So it's mixed ages. So there's 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, and 10 to 12. So the first 2 classrooms, so basically ages 1 to 6, those groups follow a Montessori approach. So it's a Montessori inspired education, early childhood education. And then the 7 and up, 7 to 12 is where we really kind of implement more of the Finnish model and Finnish curriculum.
Okay, and somebody in the audience, Alexander, is asking how many days are the kids in school and supervised without the parents? I think she's asking because she needs to get some work done.
Yeah, of course. So the education program is 5 days a week. It's a full service offering. The day starts at 8:30. The kids are picked up at 3:30. We do a 10-day cycle. So on the 10th day, so every second Friday, the kids are out on a field trip. So because we're opening in amazing locations around the world and we believe wholeheartedly on experiential and hands-on learning, every second Friday is a field trip where the kids, based on whatever they're learning in the Quest or the UN Sustainable Development Project they're working on, they go into the real world and experience something related to the learning that's taking place in the classroom.
Okay, I was going to next ask you about kind of the day in the life or like the weekly schedule, and you're mentioning about every other Friday you go out and have the field trip. So let's talk a little bit more about the daily life for, you could talk about maybe the little kids and then the older kids. Well, not older, school age kids, because I want to ask you about 12 plus in a bit. So how do they spend their day?
Sure. So, I mean, for both age groups, we have a kind of similar rhythm, to our day. So the day always starts off in the morning with what we call connection time. So that's when the group comes together in their own classrooms and we really focus on mindfulness, character building, bringing the group together in terms of the group, and then also having kids, connect to themselves. So we start our day off with connection time. And then the day goes into, from there, we go into mastery time, where the kids are learning more academic concepts. So it could be math mastery, English mastery, science mastery, and whatever concept they learn during mastery time, which is also, we believe in personalized learning, right? So even when they're learning math, each child is learning it based on where they're at. We're in mixed age groups. So we use tools where we can assess a child when they come in, understand where they're at, and then teach them according to the level that they're at and help them progress based on where they are and how they learn. We really believe in, children having different learning styles. Some learn more visually, some learn more by audio. So really trying to understand a child first before they arrive, and then empowering teachers to give them, the lessons and tools that they need to know based on their learning style. So we start off with mastery time, and then we go into quest time. So quest time is something that's very unique to Boundless Education. So we believe in project-based learning. And what we've done is with each cohort, so our cohorts are 3 months long, and with each cohort, the kids are working on one UN Sustainable Development Goal, which we call the Quest, so that they really apply whatever they've learned in mastery time to a real life situation, right? So if they're learning math in mastery, then quest time will be related to, okay, if we just learned division, how does now division relate to solving world hunger, which is the project we're working on? So they really learn how to apply what they learn in mastery time to a real life purposeful project. So the mornings pretty much run like that. They're more academic focused. And then the afternoons after lunch, we provide lunch at all of our education centers. So that's included in the tuition. And then after lunch, the kids is more of an experiential learning after lunch. So we have different sections. We do nature-based learning. So dedicate time throughout the week where the kids are immersed in nature and learning, outside under the sun or under the weather. Really the Finnish education also believes in, forest school and really immersing kids in the natural elements of the world. Then we have a period called culture time. So, because we're launching in these amazing countries around the world, we want our children to have a deep immersive experience with a local culture. So during culture time, they're either learning the local language, the local dance. If they're in Portugal, they're learning how to do Portuguese tile painting. Here in Italy, they're taking lessons on how to make a pizza, Italian pizza from scratch. So really kind of giving them more of an immersive experience. In Greece, they were learning Greek dancing, so really leveraging the local culture. And then we also have a period in the afternoon called Endeavor Time. This is one of my favorite experiences so far, is because Boundless is attracting, such amazing people in our community, people who, like yourself and your viewers, want to live differently and view, life with a different lens than everyone else. They have so much to offer, not just to the community, but to the children as well. So every week we have a time called Endeavor Time, where the parents from our community can come in and share something that they're passionate about or something that's in their zone of genius, so that, education is not just restricted to the teacher or to the educator in the class. And we're really leveraging and bringing in parents from the community to share their knowledge and inspire our kids, during school hours. So that's something that's been really beautiful to watch. And then the other section in the afternoon is called Boundless Time. So Boundless Time is basically giving children the opportunity to work on something that they're passionate about themselves individually, right? So really honing in on focusing on what their passions are and then giving them the tools to create something around what they're passionate about. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how the week looks. The mornings are always academic, and then the afternoons are split between the different times I shared with you.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I have a background in alternative education too. So everything that you said to me sounds amazing, except I have a nearly 14-year-old and you don't yet have anything for kids 12 plus. So what is the situation there? Because I think one of our audience members, Jeff, said that he communicated with Boundless a few times about the prospects of a middle school cohort. So do you have any updates on that?
Yeah, we it was funny. We launched February last year this time. And within 2 months, we had like a ton of people saying, okay, when are you opening middle school? Like when is middle school coming? And as much as we wanted to be able to launch something as quickly as possible, we kind of took a moment and took a breath and said, you know what, we're doing this massive project. Let's focus on making sure we nail our current offering, which is, ages 1 to 12 before we get too excited. So although we were trying to get something together for 2023 to serve, parents who have older kids and want this lifestyle, we did put it on hold just to ensure that whatever we do, we want to do it right, so we've put it on hold, but we're still working towards it on the side. And we're hoping to launch something in 2024 for middle school. We've already have talking to different partners and figuring out how we could do this, offer this to the best of our capabilities. So stay tuned.
Okay.
By 2024, we should have an offering ready, at least in one location for sure.
Good, because, I know a lot of worldschooling families have younger kids. When I go to some of these hubs, or whenever I go to any town where there's lots of worldschoolers, lots of younger kids, but there's a growing cohort of families with older kids. We're tired of having our kids in traditional school. We want to show them the world, raise global citizens, all of that stuff. So I will keep in touch with you on that, because
stay tuned
as well. Okay, so you don't seem like you have grades, do you? Or do you keep track of what the kids are learning? Do you create any type of portfolio? Because I'm just asking, if a family wants to travel for a year, they're doing a gap year or whatnot, and then whatever, they want to return to their hometown, their home country, and put their kids back in, God forbid, there's the tradition again, somebody might want to do that.
Yeah.
I think it would be hard to do after going to your school because it sounds so much more amazing. But if they wanted to, would they have anything to show the other school?
Yeah, great question. So we don't have formal grades like you would in a traditional school, but we do is when students come to us and start a cohort with us. So we do these kind of assessments in the first week of the cohort, right? So like I explained before, how to understand, okay, what level of math are they at? What level of English are they at? Where are they at in their science? So we get this kind of idea of where they fall and where they need to progress while they're with us for, let's say, the 3-month cohort. So with that assessment, we know where they've started. And then at the end of the cohort, we redo the assessment to understand, okay, where have they grown and where have they reached during the 3 months that they've been with us? And what we do is provide what we call a growth tracker. So every parent, every child gets a growth tracker at the end of a cohort. And the growth tracker basically outlines in all the various different areas. So math, English, science, communication skills, experiences, how they've expanded in terms of our values of being bold and resilient and innovate. And so this growth tracker, kind of the teacher will write down how they've seen each child grow and how they've expanded. So we do something called like a 2 wishes and a star, and it kind of shows, okay, 2 areas that the kid has really excelled in one area that the educator wishes that the child could spend more time to develop. So we do provide a growth tracker to all of our children at the end of a cohort to track progress. And for children who are going back to the traditional system, what we've done as well is, because we follow the Finnish curriculum, which it's called the Nordic Baccalaureate. So with the Nordic Baccalaureate, what we have is equivalencies. So let's say you stayed with us for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and you plan to go back to a traditional school after. What we can do is give you an equivalency. So based on where your child has reached in the Nordic Baccalaureate, we can provide an equivalency with the US curriculum or the UK curriculum to show this is where your child is with us at the Nordic Baccalaureate, and this is how it equates to the US or the UK curriculum if you needed to take that back to a traditional school.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, again, some of the traditional schools don't really know how to handle us when we put our kids in school in Peru for a while and Mexico for a while, and I guess now Boundless. So that's good that you have that system. I'm not going to get into getting kids ready for university and all of that because they're a bit young. I'm guessing that you attract a lot of digital nomad families who hopefully want their kids to grow up to be digital nomads or work remotely or whatnot. So how many families do you have participating in each hub, and what are they like?
So on average, in each kind of destination, we have around 30 families. Our full capacity will be around 30 families. When we start off and launch a new location, we always start a little smaller, just so that we can iron out, like make sure everything's running smoothly before we invite a whole 30 families. So like we just launched in Tuscany for January. I think we're about 12 families this cohort, or a much smaller number, just to kind of make it more manageable until we figure it out. But on average, we can go up to 30 families. That's kind of our sweet spot in each location, because one thing that's emerged really nicely in Boundless that we didn't realize would be so beautiful is the community. The community that seems to be attracted to this type of lifestyle and to what we're offering is just amazing, and there's so many almost instantaneous connections that happen on day one when we launch a new location or we start a new cohort between all the families. And it's so beautiful to see, there's like play dates happening within a few hours, and there's sleepovers and planning weekend trips, and let's all meet here for dinner. Like, it's really been this almost like a co-parenting community, like everyone's just looking out for everyone else's child, and everyone's on the same wavelength, like a lot of like-minded families, which makes it so much nicer to just live, right? And now you're not only, having this shared experience with these families from around the world, who everyone is now, experiencing this new location for the first time together, but you're also, living close to each other. So everyone's within either in a same building or within a 5 to 7 minute walk from one another. So it's like this instantaneous, amazing community that just pops up in any country that we go to, and it's really beautiful to see the connections that have been made so quickly, and how no one really wants to leave at the end because they don't want to leave these friendships or that they've enjoyed so much.
So yeah, so some of the families move from spot to spot. So you have one in Sintra, Portugal, and then you have one in Greece. What's the name of the island?
Yeah, so we have another location. It's in Syros. So Syros is an island that's about 20 minutes from Mykonos. Well, most people know Mykonos, so we're very close to Mykonos, but it is not as touristy as Mykonos. It's an island, very beautiful, gorgeous. It's kind of like a hidden gem, to be honest, with lots of locals, amazing restaurants, beautiful water, and it's where the locals live. So it's a really, really nice island. And then our third destination is here. So we're in a town called Pistoia, which is in Tuscany. And the beauty of this region is that we're in a small town, but you're literally a 20-minute train ride from all these beautiful different towns. So whether it's Lucca or Florence or Prato, there's so many different areas that you can just jump on a train and be at within 20 minutes. So we call it the Tuscan region because you're really kind of exploring the whole area here. So those are our 3 current operations that are up and running, and we'll be launching Bali, which looks similar to your
That is Bali.
your background. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I've been on this track. This is Trailblazing Families, so
nice.
trail.
Nice.
Yeah,
So we
I was going to
Bali
say
in
your
July.
first 3 locations are in the Schengen, and for those of us who don't have EU passports, darn,
Yes.
we need to leave. Bali's a bit far, and I'm wondering if you've considered, I don't know, Morocco, Turkey, the Balkan countries, or because North America or South America, because so many people need to work in the Americas time zone.
Absolutely. Yeah, we did consider, we were actually thinking of launching in Morocco before doing Bali. But we're actually very community oriented. So before we make any decisions as a company, we throw the decision out to all of our families, right? And send out a survey and say, hey, these are the top locations for our next destination. Which one would you like us to focus on? And Bali was actually a decision made by, the 200 families that voted and chose Bali. So we actually stepped away from Morocco, which was our initial plan, and went straight for Bali because that's what the families wanted. But we do have some Latin America destinations that we're already working on, and hopefully we'll be launching them in 2024.
How many boundless lives do you think that you'll end up with? You're going to conquer the world, right?
Boundless lives or boundless destinations?
Destinations.
Destinations. I mean, the goal is to have 1,000 destinations around the world. Yeah. Well, what we've done is another thing that kind of emerged in this first year of operations is a lot of the families that stayed with us really enjoyed the education that we've kind of put together. And so a lot of families came back to us very quickly and said, hey, I love boundless education. I want to bring this back to my own community, back in my home, right? So when we first developed, we thought, okay, a lot of families are going to want to just do a sabbatical year, a year or two, and travel, and go back to their typical lives. But what we realize is a lot of people want to bring this lifestyle back to their own community, right? So what we're working on now actually is empowering families in our community to be able to go back to their hometown or wherever else they need to be in the world and launch their own Boundless Education Center. So we're already working with a few partners on this project. And the goal there would be to open Boundless Education Centers all around the world. And what that enables is families to, have their children do boundless education even when they're at home, and then easily be able to plug in and out of any destination around the world. So that's kind of the model that we're working on right now. So the goal is to have 1,000 boundless education centers and have at least 50 of those be kind of exotic hidden gem destinations like the ones we have already, but then really empower families to open in their own communities, whether it's New York City or Montreal. Like I still have my home back in Montreal, and we'll be opening an education center there. All the major cities. We have interest in Miami, people in many different areas. So that's kind of the vision, is to be able to have these education centers around the world and allow families to plug in and out wherever they want, whenever they want.
Super exciting, super exciting. I worked on a similar project to that, not similar, a little different, more hybrid learning. We can talk about it later, but it didn't work out. And so I'm really glad that you're going with this concept, because I love it. Okay, I want to read some of the comments in the group. Kara has a bunch of comments. She says, I love the concept of connection time and mastery time. I think the UN part of curriculum is my favorite. She asks, how do you establish a relationship with the cities where you'll be hosting each cohort? Do you plan to revisit the same cities later on? I mean, I guess that's what the families do. Forgive me if you've already mentioned I'm trying to listen while working, LOL. Yeah, I guess you said you put it up for a vote for your members, right? The people who are involved. So that was the answer, I think, to that question. Alexander's asking. Oh, sure.
Just to clarify for her, is we're not a pop-up, right? So it's not like we're in Tuscany now and then Tuscany is going to close. Tuscany, all of our locations stay open year round. So we really establish in a town, we hire local staff, a local GM, local coordinators, and they run that location permanently. So
the school is open year round, or do you have like a summer camp during the summer?
Yeah, it's open. We have a summer camp during the summer. Yeah, we do we call it a mini summer quest, basically. So it's a 6-week program in the summer. So we're closed for 2 weeks in August. But there is a summer quest that runs kind of like a summer camp, but gives families who, maybe are not as risky and willing to take their kids out of school during the school year, gives them a little taste of what our curriculum looks like in the summer, so that they can test it out and then feel if they're comfortable to join us during the academic year.
Okay, wonderful. And so families sign up on a month-to-month basis, or is there 3 months? What's the minimum?
So we have cohorts. So you have to register for a full cohort. So during the year, it's a 3-month cohort. So we have one cohort that runs September to November. So that's a cohort. And then we have a cohort from January to March, another 3-month cohort. So there's basically 3-month cohorts throughout the year, and then a 6-week summer program. So you have to register for the full cohort to attend.
Yeah, no, I know some people would prefer to do, 1 month, but I'm here at this Bansko hub for 3 months, and there's advantages to stay for a few months. We're into slow traveling nowadays. Well, mixing with fast traveling. Okay, so due to the level of the quality that you offer, the locations you've chosen so far, and how full service your program is, your prices obviously are not super low. I'm at a hub where it's kind of run as a foundation. We're in Bansko, where the rents are really cheap. There's not a lot of extras like what you guys are offering. There's no school here. So it's, much more economical. But let's talk about pricing, because I think some people go, oh, wow, Boundless seems a little pricey, but you do get a lot for what you pay per month, correct?
Yeah. I mean, like I mentioned, we have a full staff at each location. So we have, when you pay, your monthly fee with us, you're paying for your apartment. The apartment is fully furnished, fully ready to go. All the small appliances you would need in a kitchen, everything is there. Kitchen's up and ready. We have cleaning service. So we have cleaners come in once a week that cleans your apartment, changes all your sheets, provides fresh new towels. And we have a community manager that's organizing community events throughout the week for you to participate in, whether it's extracurricular activities for your kids, or language lessons for the parents, or wine tasting, or weekend excursions. Literally like 2 staff members that are just organizing your entire trip for you and at your disposal for whatever you need. It's been a huge help. Like for me, for instance, like my mother-in-law is visiting and she had to go to the hospital, and just to have like our community manager, she was amazing. Like she went to the hospital with her and translated everything. And like, to have this like local staff that's there and really supporting you, honestly, like from my own experience, is invaluable. Like there's no way we could have gone through these last 4 days where she was at the hospital if we didn't have this support here, because no one speaks English in Italy. So it makes a huge difference to really have this local support team available to you at all times. So that's from kind of the hospitality service side. And then similarly from the education side, we're not a day camp, we're not a kids club. We are a full-fledged, basically private school, with like staff that's been hired. Every education center has almost 10 fully qualified, educated teachers. We've flown in educators from Finland who are experienced in the Finnish curriculum. We recruit, the best educators that we could possibly find because we really thrive and want to offer like a forward-thinking, cutting-edge education solution to our children. So it's not, it's definitely comes at a cost, but what you're getting is high quality offering. And, we're giving it everything that we've got to make sure that we're really servicing our members in the best possible way.
Okay, good. So what would the full price be for everything for a family of 4 per month?
Ooh, I have to split it up for you. I don't know off the top of my head, but like tuition for a child at the education center is 1,500 euros a month per child. And then you get a discount if you register 1 or 2, depending on, for every extra child, I think you get a 10% discount. And then for accommodations, it varies really between whether you want a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, it depends on the type of accommodation you're looking for. But it can range from, 4,000 to 6,000 a month based on the unit that your particular family needs.
Okay. And then the co-working, is that extra or is that all part of this?
It's all part of it. Yeah, it's all part of it. But there's also seasonality that kind of gets played into it, so like the prices during the summer will be different than the prices now during January, obviously, right? Because some summers there's a huge demand, and the winter, it's less. So for instance, if there's, not everyone maybe wants to go to a Greek island in the winter time. So the prices are seasonal, right? So if you wanted to have a lower cost offering, then you might choose like a location that's low season for a particular month and pay less. So that's why I can't give you like a flat number. It really varies.
No, I think it's, probably around 6,000 to 10,000 a month. And I'm guessing that your families are probably paying that, if not more, back in New York City or in California or London and Montreal, wherever they're living. Exactly. You're attracting families that are professionals, they work remotely or they have an online business. I've been at these casual hubs where there's not a lot of things organized, and I'm a busy solo parent of 2 and working all the time. So I don't have time to kind of do a Worldschooling co-op, which some of them are. So I'm happy to just pay the organizer and just say, keep my kids busy, and have them have friends. And I want decent internet, which today I don't have because we're in Bulgaria. But no, I get it. Obviously some people want a DIY, they want a really low budget. Other people want full service. That's what you have to offer. So again, I've met lots of people in real life and on Facebook who have been to Boundless. They have great things to say. I hear mixed things about other programs, and I've heard really good things about you guys. So good job. For being so new, I think you're doing a really good job. I think people do think, well, it's, very high priced, and on your website, you do say that you use the word inclusive, and they're like, well, they're kind of looking exclusive. But I get it. You can't be all things to all people. So I think what you guys are offering is really amazing for people who don't want to DIY it. There's that option all over around the world for that. So let's see. Let's ask a couple questions from the chat. Alexandra says, classes are in English globally. Yes. An option to learn a foreign language? Because I wanted to ask that too. How immersed do you get in the local culture? Are the kids learning Portuguese and Greek and, whatever in the country you're at? Because not that my kids and I try to learn every language everywhere we go, but at least the basics. And we do want to immerse ourselves in the culture because my kids are I'm trying to raise global citizens and not just have us hop around the world having a long holiday, and be kind of like tourists. Like it's really important for us, and we're trying to learn Spanish. So whenever we're in Spanish speaking countries, we really try to immerse and meet local Spanish speaking like homeschoolers. That's what we do. But Alexandra's wondering, she said, as in consistently, like say Chinese continuously, no matter which hub.
Absolutely. So our main language is English. That's the first language. The second language we teach is Spanish. So Spanish is a consistent second language at all of our destinations. We actually just launched that this January. So all locations have at least 2 hours of Spanish weekly in the schedule. And then as a third language, that's where we introduce the local language. That's what falls into culture time. So what we've done is for the third language, obviously you can't do like a deep dive into a third language, practically within 3 months. So what we've done is we're teaching the kids more conversational skills, right? So we have a dictionary actually of like 50 different sentences that we want, the children to focus on at each location. So they're always kind of learning the same conversational sentences, but in different languages. And then they can keep that dictionary with them wherever they go and, keep referring back to or understand the difference. Hey, how do I say this in Portuguese? Oh yeah, I remember this is how I said it in Greece, and this is how I say it in Italian. So really kind of creating that consistency for the third language, so that conversationally, it's really easy. Like in Greece, and when they were in Greece, like one of the first things the culture teacher taught them was, okay, you got to learn how to say, I would like to order a gelato, and they had to work on like saying this one sentence. And as soon as they achieved it, he took them to the gelato store as an experience, and each of them had to order their own gelato in Greek,
Nice.
And so really like, not just learning it, but then having to apply it in a real life scenario. So that's really important to us. Again, right, with the experiential learning is, yeah, sure, let's teach a language, but let's make sure they're actually practicing it when they leave the education center or during the education center hours in real life and forced to kind of practice it. So that's our approach, is with a third language, making it more conversational.
Amazing. You stated many, many benefits for families to come and spend some time in Boundless Life, one of your destinations. Let's talk about, as co-founder of a company, what are challenges that you and your team have faced? Because launching a new business, I used to own a almost 800 square meter indoor children's play cafe outside of Seattle, which included a preschool and 3 birthday party rooms. It was nuts. And I was the only person. So I'm just imagining all that you had to do to launch your 3+ locations. Kudos to you, but what have been the challenges?
Yeah, lots of challenges. Startup life definitely comes with challenges. I would say on my end, like from an education standpoint, which is what I lead, the biggest challenge was honing in on what we are and what we are not. That's something I didn't do initially, like, because, when you're just launching, you're like, you want to be everything for everyone. And I think that was something I learned the hard way, is that you have to be very clear on what it is you are, and then just as clear, which I wasn't, on what it is we are not.
Exactly.
And that was a challenge, because then you attract people that want something different. And if you don't openly state, well, no, this is not what we are, then you have this kind of like, disconnect between what you're offering and what most families are there for. But then if you have a few families that are just not aligned, it affects the whole group. So I think for me, one of the challenges was, or one of the lessons learned, I would say, after all of that, is to just be very clear and confident on what you are, what we aren't, just as much as what we are, So we always say that what we are, but it was never really out there with what we aren't. And I think that's something that I've learned over the last years, to just be confident and say, hey, we can't be everything for everyone. Exactly. And this is what we are, and this is what we aren't. Yeah.
Yeah, because so many customers just want exceptions to the rule, or for you to tweak it this way and make it special for them. But and it's impossible. You'll drive yourself crazy if you do that. And you'll take your eye off your vision of what the plan is supposed to be. So that's a very good point. Okay, so Alexandra, I think who has a big business background, is asking, are you independently self-owned or do you have investors? How much are you planning to scale in the coming years? You mentioned you want 1,000 plus locations. I mean, are you wanting VC investment banking money? Like, are you wanting to go big?
Yeah, I mean, we're not self-funded. We definitely have investors. We raised our seed round last year. We raised, at least 2 million. We're doing another round right now, actually. We're closing a round very soon, smaller round. And then, yeah, we're very open to VC funding, to any investors that are aligned with what's important to us is that the investor, whether it's an angel investor or a VC or private equity, is that they're very aligned with our mission. We're a mission-driven organization. We care for our families, we care for the children, we care for the impact that we're trying to have. So as long as the investors are aligned with our values and our mission, then we're open to investment.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I cannot wait to check out your Tuscany location in about a month and get a tour.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, we've been traveling for 6 years. My Facebook group has lots of experienced travelers and lots of newbies. So what advice would you have for newbies in world schooling, digital nomad, location independent lifestyles?
I think my advice would be like, just don't worry. Don't worry so much. I think as parents, we worry so much about like, oh, am I doing the right thing for my kid? Am I gonna screw up his or her life? Like, am I messing them up? And I would just say, like, don't listen to that talk in your head. Like, just we're so family, or relatives, we're so like conditioned to have one certain type of lifestyle, and there's so much fear that's associated to stepping away from that lifestyle and starting something different. So my advice would be like, just drop the fear and like follow your heart. And like, there's no way you will mess up your kids. Like even if you don't have an education offering, you're not enrolled in Boundless Education, or you're not doing don't worry. Like just the experience that you're giving your child by pulling them out of their comfort zone and exposing them to new cultures and new environments and new people, like children grow exponentially just from these experiences. And to me, I think, by living this lifestyle, we're giving our children the opportunity to bridge the gaps between so many different countries, and there's so much division in the world that we see now. But by exposing kids and like to different cultures and different countries, kids themselves, what I've noticed is kids themselves don't even see differences in people. They see each other as one. And it's as we grow and as we like put stuff into them, we create this division. And I think the more you expose them to the world and to different cultures, and they just automatically become global citizens, that want to do good for the whole world. So I would just say, don't think too much. Like shift your fear-based thinking, which we all have, and I think it creeps up to all of us. But just don't feed into that. Just feed into, hey, I'm going to do this, and just take a leap and do it. You won't regret it. I can promise you that.
Great advice. Yeah, I mean, that's why we're doing it, because I want my kids to be global citizens. I mean, I've traveled a lot in my life. I don't need to travel. I just want to show my kids the world, and I want them to grow up in this way. Okay, well, wonderful. Well, we've had lots of people saying 100%. Thank you, Rekha. Great info. And yeah, I really appreciate you coming here to share about what Boundless Life is doing. And you're right, like I love the name of your company, Boundless Life, and Trailblazing Families. Like we're all kind of like living this boundless life, right? We're innovative, we're forging a new trail, we're pioneers in what we're doing. So I think we should just continue on that path and just live an amazing life. And so I'm really glad that you have this. Now I have been in touch with your marketing department, and they mentioned that if families sign up for Boundless Life, and mention Trailblazing Families, they will get a 400 euros discount. So everyone make sure to mention Trailblazing Families. And yeah, I mean, Rekha, is there anything that I forgot to ask you? And I think we had some nice conversation. So hopefully you can, I don't know, try to get you in the Facebook group so you can answer any that we forgot to ask. because there might be some questions in the future. But is there anything we forgot to mention?
No, Liz, I think you covered it all. We're good.
Good. Okay. Well, super awesome conversation. I'm really glad that you spent time with us today. And again, hopefully I will meet you, not in Tuscany, but one of these days. So I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. This is Lizz Quain with Trailblazing Families. My twins and I have been traveling and world schooling for over 6 years, and I'm happy to share about our experiences. Make sure to check out the other videos on this channel. I do have a playlist of all the other interviews of other world schooling families and service providers. We're all happy to share our information and wisdom about how to best live this world schooling, digital nomad, and family travel lifestyle. If you're new to world schooling and need a bit of help, I do have a super comprehensive 12-week program on how to travel extensively as a family and how to world school, how to educate your kids. There's many different ways to do it. So reach out to me and schedule a no obligation Zoom meeting so we can have a quick chat and see if my program is a good fit for you. Thanks and happy trails.